Welcome back to Creator Commons, where we talk to creative people about their process and creativity. I'm your host, Andrew Mack, and today I'm with Cam Criste.
Hi, my name's Cam Criste. I am a sports media major here at High Point University with a minor in media production entrepreneurship. I've been producing and directing live sports for about 3 years now. I got into it freshman year, and I've enjoyed it ever since. Thank you again, Andrew, for inviting me on.
Awesome, man. That's great to hear. Exactly why we brought you on today, to talk about that sports media stuff. So I sent you the questions ahead of time, but let's just jump into the first one. How do you incorporate creativity and storytelling into live production?
So the creativity side of live sports is kind of hard to explain a little bit because you're in the moment and you have to catch the action while you're watching as well. And you have to think about what the audience wants to see, essentially, but you want to direct and listen to your commentators. But you can also do like unique shots sometimes, like if there's like a live ball that you can catch or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like I've seen content on Instagram and everything like there was like this tight shot of like the golf ball. There's talented enough camera ops to just follow this golf ball, and it was brilliant.
That's incredible.
And I'm like, I want to get to that level. I've never done that before. I've tried it with a soccer ball before. It's not look as good, but it's just the equipment I'm limited with right now. But I think we're going to be expanding on that soon with all the arena equipment we have here, and it's going to be great. So
what about the storytelling piece? Like, how do you... I mean, obviously there's a story unfolding in front of you. So how do you properly capture that?
So what you're like storytelling wise into like a live sporting event is kind of hard to explain. You're in the moment, as I said before, but you also, the commentators you have storylines going into each and every single game. Like if it's like a conference final or something like that, and there's the 1 seed and the 2 seed, they're on massive winning streaks. They've been on a collision course ever since this season. At the end of the season, and there's like all these unique stories, like just like, oh, if the starting point guard this is his last season, this is his last game at home, you can focus on him. Or if it's like the away head coach's like last game, you can focus on that as well. You can build graphics, you can build referees, you can build like lower thirds for just like anything for the announcers wise, and it's really hard to explain, but also you can get unique camera shots and everything that just add into the story as well, and just the dynamic shots and everything.
So obviously you can't make those decisions on the fly, especially because it's live. Yeah. Like on movie sets and that kind of stuff, not a lot of stuff is done on the fly, but it's still easier. So what kind of prep work do you do personally in order to get yourself in a position where you can tell these stories?
So I try to text. I usually try to create group chats with my announcers and see what they want coming into the games, and see what graphics they would like, unique graphics wise. I mean, I remember my freshman year, one of my predecessors, Thomas Hart, made a sandwich graphic for one of our announcers, Harris Eisenberg. We did the sandwich graphic, and it was top sandwiches by Harris Eisenberg, and it was a meaningless like 7-inning baseball game, and it was like we wanted to do it because we had time to fill. Yeah. So those no context moments, that's what's so fun about live sports sometimes, because you have to fill time. But when you're going into it, you also have to think about what would you like to see as a like audience member, like what do you want to see like visually, and you want to focus on like what's the big storylines as well. But those no context is what I really love. That's what drives me about sports so much. That's what I really want to do.
It seems like you're definitely like, it seems like it's big about like combining prep work. And then being able to roll that into being spontaneous in the moment and being able to capture things when the time is opportune. Yeah. Like, it's almost like you have to plan to improvise.
You always, as a director, you are always improvising on the fly. Like, oh, yeah, say, like, your camera 3 goes out, and you're like, crap. Okay, camera 2, act as my camera 3 or something like that. Yeah. Or camera 1, act as my camera 3. You have to always think about, like, what you have incorporated with your lenses, your cameras as well. You have to think about your camera ops as well, if you have inexperience or very experienced as well, because you want to like, okay, do I push these cameras more and just see what I can get out of them.
I remember working with y'all, and Blake, who's another person who you work with very heavily, one thing he would do is show me what you can show me. Like, so he would literally have each camera run through all of the angles that they could get and all the coverage that they had. He wanted to see how far can you zoom in, how wide can you go. So he knew that if something happened, that you would just kind of like have to, let me think. If he knew if one camera went down or there was an issue where one camera couldn't get a proper shot,
Right.
then he knew the next person he could call on to get that shot.
Yeah, essentially, you have to check with you have to do like a camera call or like camera shot list with everyone as well. We usually do that for like an hour beforehand. We also have like sheets for like every athlete for basketball games as well. And we try to we always prep beforehand as well for like our opens.
Yeah.
Essentially, we have 4 elements we have to shoot on: location wise, our broadcasters wise, and 2 players to watch. That's our 4 main elements of an open.
Yeah.
And that's what we usually prep into. But we also have like a camera call like an hour beforehand and say here's our head coaches, here's our players to watch, here's like important aspects of the game we want to shoot and everything. So if there's something else we want to shoot as well, there was a guy coming out of the ceiling or out of the rafters this year for High Point University games like that for men's basketball games. We didn't knew that was coming in, and we were just told by marketing about that, and we were like, we should probably try to get that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. So we were kind of talking about coverage. So how do you get proper coverage of an event like this that's so high, that's so fast paced? Like, what do you do to ensure that you are, how do you move people? How do you set cameras so that you're getting everything you need?
So usually we set cameras about, we usually try to be there 2 hours beforehand, but we usually try to set cameras if we have a game the next day, we try to set it up that night.
Yeah.
And we usually try to get there about 2.5 hours to 2 to 2.5 hours to make sure everything properly works. We also discuss about which camera ops are we having on, which people are we having on replay, which people are we having on graphics. We try to maintain who's going to be the best person and who we can train on sometimes as well. Because we have freshmen coming in, we have sophomores coming in. We want people to be trained properly to do live events. We also have new broadcasters sometimes. We're always experimenting essentially. So and get the proper coverage. We always try to make sure with what we have is what we got. So.
Yeah. And that begs a different question because it's a really interesting position you're in. It is one of very few fully student run ESPN programs.
It's really a blessing and a curse sometimes. If something messes up, we're blamed. If something is well done, we're blessed for it. But it's really good, and it's a really good experience to have on a resume. I'm pretty blessed to say I've done about 300 hours of broadcast on ESPN Plus, on being camera op, being graphics, being replay. I never thought I would have this opportunity just to be on ESPN Plus, working for this company and just talking to these freelancers freelancers are people who have been in the industry for about 30, 20 plus years. And they tell us oh yeah, we could possibly hook you up with a couple of other teams for freelance work or something like that. And I haven't done that personally yet, but I would love to if I can get access to a transportation vehicle or something like that, so I can connect with people more down the industry.
That's absolutely, and that's something that I preach a lot, just in general, is just trying to, get out there and talk to people. That's the way I've gotten most of my success, which is still very limited at this point.
Yeah.
But, when I found opportunities, it's because I've talked to the right people.
Yeah.
And, you can't find the right people unless you talk to a lot of people.
Yeah, one of my other clubs, National Sports Media Association, we just went up to Boston because I found a connection there that I kind of accessed through an alumni I knew, Wendell Epps. So he talked to, what's her name? Meredith Gorman, who was a sideline reporter there. I tried to contact her. That didn't work, but I found another person who I found on Nesson, and she got me a tour of the whole New England Sports Network is the network that Meredith works for, but I found the director of PR there, and I connected for her for LinkedIn, and it was a really unique experience looking at the studio and hearing about these other people who work in this industry up north, and they got to cover the Red Sox, they got to cover the Bruins, all the teams I've been growing up watching, and I never thought I would be in this industry because I was oh yeah, I'm going to be an announcer or something like that, just be a TV personality. Then I fell in love with production. That's what I fell in love with. So,
can I ask why you fell in love with production?
So essentially, I came here thinking, yeah, I'm going to try to become a TV radio head or something like that. But it was one August day, we were doing men's soccer coverage. Piper Soroyce, who is the former director of production here for SportsLink, who works at Marshall now. She popped me up on camera free, like it was on the field, which was weird at that time. But and I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. And I started falling in love with like camera movement, just trying to track the ball, try to get the best angles for my director at the time, who was Piper. And she was like, "You're really good at this. I'm just going to keep giving you opportunities." And that's when I started keep going. Then I looked down on my there's we have like a schedule and everything on our like skill sheets. And I worked like 20 games in about a span of 2 months, which was kind of, looking back, not healthy, but it's where I found my passion.
Yeah.
So
that's really, really awesome. I am really thankful for having you on this podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything you want to plug as of right now?
Well, you can follow me on LinkedIn, all lowercase Cam Criste 51. And if you want to follow our Instagram, HBU_National Sports Media Association, that is NSMA. Just follow us for more content and everything. You can follow, and I'm entering for Katuitt Cavaliers for the Cape Cod Baseball League, so catch me there.
Yeah, and you guys know where you can find me, AmacPhoto92 on Instagram. Thank you all for listening, and go in peace. All right, so we're back again for takeaways. So one of the big takeaways that I got from this is that you need to plan to improvise. So that's giving yourself enough planning and preparation ahead of time so that you can feel comfortable improvising because you know the overarching and more important things going on. And secondly, my other takeaway is that you have to make connections, especially considering sports media and these very, very close-knit industries. You're going to want to make connections to other people. And if you don't, you're going to be failing in that regard. You have to make those connections with people so that you can find the ends and get your information that you need. And I just want to give a shout out to High Point University. So I want to thank them for all their support over the years. They're supporting this podcast through the studio, that they've given me, as well as